Hi, everybody. Today we are answering the question, how do I notice if I feel emotionally drained or tired? Why am I feeling this way? What is the problem and what can I do about it? I'm Pamela D Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. On there, help for caregivers and aging adults. Let's answer the first part of this question. How do I know if I am feeling emotionally tired or exhausted? Well, the first part is you feel tired, exhausted, and worn down. Is your brain also just working overtime? Is it constantly thinking about an event or a person or a concern? And your brain spins and spins and spins. And you're beginning to feel a little anxious, a little irritable, maybe even angry. You're worried and maybe your brain is taking you to places where you don't want to go. Maybe it's catastrophizing and thinking about worst case scenarios instead of trying to think of why this is happening and what can I do about it. And the why could be maybe you had a disagreement with an aging parent or a spouse about something. If that's the case, were you trying to be helpful and they rejected you? Or maybe they don't appreciate your efforts. Or maybe you're trying to convince them to do something that they really don't want to do. And you became angry. Is there a sense that the relationship is off balance? Maybe you feel like you're doing more and they're not doing enough, or there's disagreement or anger about some subject and you can't quite figure out what it is, which is why you're feeling emotionally drained and exhausted, because you have this problem that you really don't know how to solve, and sometimes maybe you don't even know what the problem is. When we get into these situations where we're feeling anxious or emotional, if we can take a step back and ask ourselves, why? Are we angry at a person? Are we judging other people? When we are in relationships where we're caring for a parent, many times we're also in relationships with other people. It could be a doctor, a nurse, a healthcare provider, somebody at an insurance company, maybe our brothers or sisters or other family members. And just as we judge other people, just as we have bias against other people, we think that they're this way or that way, or maybe we like parts of what they do, but we don't like all the parts of what we do. It's important to realize that we also are judged by other people. Our intentions are judged. The way that we appear is judged. The way that we communicate is judged. And this is where many times issues go wrong when we feel emotionally drained or balanced, because we're trying to figure out a situation and we may not have all of the information, or we may be judging. When things go wrong, we see it as a threat to ourselves. It's a threat to getting something that we want, or a threat to how we feel about someone, or maybe we feel threatened. So if we can look at what the problem is, we can get past feeling emotionally tired. So is it that we're dealing with different people and we don't know them because we've just come across them in a situation at a hospital or at a doctor's office or somewhere else. And we're trying to figure out, can they help us? Will they help us? Do they care enough to help us? If it's a family situation with a parent, it's likely a person that we've known for a long time, and maybe we have a lot of judgments about what they're like or what they're thinking, or we're making all of these assumptions, but we're really not asking, saying, I feel really emotional about this and I'm not sure why, but here's why I'm uncomfortable. Is there any way that we can work this out? Sometimes we have to bring it down to a very basic point of saying, I've been upset about this all day and I don't know why. And I know that you're upset too. and I value our relationship, whatever that is, and I want to be able to work this out with you. Those are the conversations that we so often don't have, especially if we're emotionally tired or exhausted. There are times when it's really not good to have that conversation because we may be more impatient and we may snap. When we're in these situations, if we can approach them from a sense of calm. So a lot of advice says, go take a walk, listen to music, do this. That's a momentary distraction, which is great because our brain needs time to stop spinning about all of these issues. But then even after that, we're still back to that issue. We still have to solve that issue. And so it's the idea of us, as the person trying to solve the problem, thinking differently. If we can admit that we don't know everything, that we don't have all of the life experience that we need to solve this problem. And if we can be open to being flexible and thinking differently and not having to feel like we're always right or it always has to be our way. Because many times there's information that we don't have. So I talk to many millennial caregivers who are taking care of a parent. And there's this belief that they know everything. In caregiving, it's impossible to know everything. And many times it's this little piece of information that we don't have or that we don't consider or that we're not open to considering that can truly change a care situation. In any of our lives, how many times did we ever look back and say, wow, if I would have known 5 years ago what I know today, how much different the situation would be. When we look at life as a learning experience, when we look at problems as a learning experience, when we learn people or when we look at people that we may not initially like or people that we judge and start asking ourselves, why am I feeling this way? Why am I having this judgment? Is it based on something in my past? Is it based on a past experience? And what do I not know about this situation or this person? And where can I go to get help about this? Many times after we're out of school, we don't really think about how can I learn more about this or how can I investigate the situation a little more and who can help me. In caregiving, there are so many unknowns, and many times it is the little things that we don't know or we don't think to consider, or it's not relative to us at that time. It's not important to us today. So we just brush it aside and let it go, and then 6 months or a year later, it comes back and it can be a problem. So all of these emotional issues surrounding caring for other people and our relationships with other people and family members and parents and all of that. We learn how to manage these conflicts when we're young from our parents, but we also want to continue learning throughout our life. We can learn from situations in the workplace and other relationships that we have, but if we can look at these gaps or these glitches or these difficulties as opportunities to learn, instead of making them emotionally draining situations, which I know they can be many times, we can move forward in a more positive manner and learn how to resolve these situations so that they don't continue to repeat and they don't continue to continually drag down our emotions so we're in this negative place all the time. I'm Pamela D Wilson. There is a lot of help and hope for caregivers on my website by way of my caregiving library, my online caregiving courses, my weekly podcasts, and many of these videos. Please share this information with others that you know who are looking for hope, help, and support. Have a fabulous day today, and I will see you again soon in another video.